Do 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 do.
The sleep detectives are back.
Oh my goodness, we really need those funny hats that we were talking about, just so that we come
Yeah,
into
Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes. And is it the monocle? Is it like the one-eye monocle, or is it
Yeah.
or like what's the what is it?
Spectacles?
The magnifying
Oh,
glass.
magnifying glass. Yes.
Yes, and a cane.
That's us. The sleep detectives are back in all our regalia to answer your questions. Just to do some hot seat baby sleep Q&A.
And to let you know, we don't actually, I mean, one of us will see the questions, but we don't talk about the answers beforehand. So we're actually like really
We have not prepped.
Wherever we have it prepped, we're just going straight in with the answers. I actually feel like that way you'll get like the best of us. You know, we're just going straight in. This is like this is what we do for a living.
This is real deal sleep consultants. I actually just pulled these 5 questions from a combination of 2 questions from the podcast that we haven't yet responded to. One is a great one that I saw in my Snooze Social membership, which, Beck, you're an incredible moderator in. And then the other 2 came up on my TikTok. And I thought, if someone's wondering these, then a million other parents are also wondering this. So let's dive in. Okay. How do you fit solids in around 3 naps for an almost 8-month-old?
Okay, so 3 naps. So 3 naps, they're well timed through the day. For me personally, and I think you're on board with this too, Sally, we would structure the feeds in 4 hourly if you're on a 3 nap schedule for an 8-month-old.
Absolutely.
So we would schedule those milk feeds in at 7 a.m., 11 a.m., 3 p.m., and then half an hour before bedtime, which typically will land somewhere between, say, 6:30 and 7. Would you agree?
Yes, definitely. And I would usually say then if that's the milk timings, then the nap timings that we would be working to at this age would be 7 a.m. ideally out of cot, straight into your milk feed. Nap 1 is going to be 9:30 till 10:15. Nap 2 is 12:45 till 2:15. Nap 3 is probably 5 till 5:30, and then bedtime 2 hours later. And so that last milk feed, as you just said, we're going to pop in 30 minutes prior to bedtime.
I think the question also mentions solids, so we'll go ahead and sort of pop solids into the mix as well. So it is a real carefully constructed day. We want to make sure that we're getting great milk feeds in and that the solids aren't impacting the ability to take the great milk feeds. So what we do with breakfast is we pop it in straight after the first milk feed. So at 7 o'clock milk is happening, 7:30, boom, we're going straight into brekkie. This creates an ample window of time for the appetite to be created again for the 11 o'clock milk feed. Solids for lunch go in at 11:30. Again, that gives ample time for the milk feed at 3 p.m. to be created, for the appetite to be created for 3 p.m. And then 5 o'clock dinner, or, straight after the third nap is when we offer dinner. We just want to go light with dinner in the beginning because we don't want there to be so much dinner that impacts that final milk feed before bed. So really sort of looking at dinner, just not going too gung-ho, because a lot of families will sort of, try and tank up at dinner time, and then that final milk feed is a bit of a dud. So you just want the balance to be smaller dinner to support a bigger milk feed before bed.
Yeah, definitely. And it is a balance, isn't it? Because milk is still very important and solids are increasingly important. When we introduce, this isn't the question, but I'll add this. When we introduce protein, you and I both usually start this at the lunchtime meal so that a baby's digestion system, you've got the whole rest of the day for a baby to digest that, rather than starting it at dinner time and then saying, here, can you lie down and process this? And then you've got potentially overnight wakings because of digestion and a bit of a sore tummy or gurgly tummy. So we always start with lunch, but it's also because we want to lead into a great long nap too. So we want to set the stage for that. You've had a great milk feed, you've had a great big lunch, into a nice big second nap of the day.
Yep, absolutely.
Then we add protein in at dinner once everything's above
Yeah,
board.
once your night is looking super schmick and whatnot, then we can put protein into the mix.
Mm.
And then what might happen is, say you might sort of have a really schmick night and then you put protein into the mix. And then you might find, oh, we're having a little blip around the 10, 11 o'clock mark. And that it might just be a tiny little blip, but you'll probably find that that's because there's a little bit of digestion being worked on
Digested.
at that point. Digested.
The
So a little bit of
digesting
wind
is
or something.
digesting.
Yeah, and it's not something that then you sort of have to pull the protein back out of the mix. It's just that you're likely to see it at that point because your sleep has been so good beforehand.
Yep. All right. Question 2. What to do if baby won't take a feed in public or out and about with distractions? Now, I remember this personally. I remember sitting in a dark room with a towel over my head, trying to breastfeed a baby, like, do not look at anything. We got to get this feed in because I know it can be so tricky, when there's so many more exciting things happening. And I also know the importance of a feed, particularly when you're working to a schedule.
I think that it's one of those things where if you are on a particular schedule, then your little one will probably be more likely to have the feed outside of the home because they are really reaching their limit when it comes to appetite. So, if you are on like an 8-month-old baby and you are on 4 feeds, if you're getting to the 11 o'clock mark, you're going to probably find that your little one will have the feed at the playground or at mother's group or at the swimming pool.
Hungry.
They should be hungry enough for it. If you're finding that they're slightly older or you're having snicky snacky feeds in between, that's probably when you will find that they're more distracted and more likely to sort of pull off and see what's going on around them. So again, that's just another benefit of having a bit more of a routine, structured approach to your day and to your feeds. If you've got a little one that's slightly older, then just if you know you're going to be out, just make sure that we're not offering sort of snacks in the car or whatnot in the lead up to that feed. So really priming their appetite if you're banking on that feed being a good one and you feeling confident about the remainder of your day and going into the night. So really sort of factor that in. If your little one actually has not taken the feed, just depends on where you're at, what stage you're at in terms of, your sleep work and if you are working on sleep or whatnot. For the older little one, I would maybe just sort of go in with, all right, well, if we've missed the 11 o'clock milk feed, you might just have a quick top-up feed when you get home and then sort of straight into lunch or whatever it might be. And then you just sort of go, okay, well, after lunch, we just get back on track with this scheduled feeds that we're aiming for, sort of draw a line in the sand and get back on track. If it's happening just once or twice, it's not really a big deal. Don't even sweat it. It's fine. But if you're finding that it's more regular routine where you're out and about and they're missing feeds, and it may be something that you might need to look at the timings of when you are going
the day.
out. Yeah.
And I think I used to always try and find, because I have FOMO babies, low stimulation. So, if we're at a big shopping center, I used to go to the parents' rooms and go into one of those little cubicles and pull the curtains and just try my best to get that feed in. They often have a little play area for if you've got a toddler in tow, because that's often a tricky thing, at play equipment. I used to sit in the car and feed. I used to sort of drape a swaddle over, a big muslin cloth over, just to really try and prioritize that feed. I do think it's also worth mentioning that as babies get older, they also become far more efficient feeders, particularly if we're talking breastfeeding where we don't know the volume that they're taking, that it could just be that they are distracted, yes, but maybe they are also still taking enough. They're just doing it as they pop on, pop off, pop on, pop off, and they're just incredibly efficient. The good thing, I think also, yes, absolutely milk feeds are important, but for older babies, solids are also in the mix. We never want a baby to go hungry. So the odd dodgy feed, because of distraction, your baby should never be going hungry if there's also solids in the mix.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 3. I'll hit you with this one now, Sally.
Okay.
Let me just get it up. All right. What's your go-to bottle recommendations? I'm currently using Dr. Brown's with a size 3 teat for my 7-month-old. I'm trying to anchor in a 4-hourly feed, but baby is only taking 150 mils.
I often recommend an Avent bottle. because, and this is something that I learnt as a pediatric nurse, is I realized how exhausting feeding can sometimes be for babies and how much they can lose interest if they have to work too hard for it. So it may not be that your baby doesn't have the appetite for a fuller bottle. Could it be the actual bottle and the flow of the teat? So always making sure that it is a fast enough flow for your baby so that they don't have to work for it, hit 150 mils and think, no, I'm done. This is not worth my effort.
Yeah.
And so I'm often recommending an Avent bottle over something like a Dr. Brown's.
So not all bottles are created equally, and so that's where, you know, you find that maybe one baby will have a preference over a different type of bottle. Certainly at 7 months, we would definitely be wanting our little ones to have a little bit more than 150 mils per feed. So that suggests to me and also to you, Sally, that the bottle may just be the thing that's not quite right.
So just on that, we would usually say a full bottle at 7 months is closer to 180 to 240 mils.
Yep.
A baby does not have to max out. They can have as much as they want, but that's what we would usually be recommending as a full bottle at 7 months old.
On a 4-hour daytime schedule, for sure.
Yes.
Yep. And Dr. Brown's bottles, from my experience, they are typically more of a slower flow type bottle. And I think that this question may be from the Snooze Social, which I did see this morning. So this mum also had to thicken feeds as well. So because the Dr. Brown's is more of a slow flow type of bottle with the thickened feeds, I am going to presume that that's making it a little more difficult for little one to get the milk out.
They have to work even harder.
Even harder. So yes, I would definitely switch out a bottle. I'm the same as you. Avent for me is a really good faster flow bottle. Babies tend to sort of work less hard to get the milk out. And always when you are moving, so you don't necessarily have to move to an Avent bottle, you could switch to a different type. But when you do move to a different type of bottle, always expect that there is going to be an adjustment period. And so you might find that they are just as they try to adjust to the new flow, that there may be a little bit of spillage coming down the sides. Try not to sort of give up. It will take a day or two for that to sort of start to, they catch up to the new flow. Stick it out for a couple of days and see how you end up.
Yeah, new flow, new mouth feel. And I think it's also always worth, if you're looking at bulking out your day feeds, is to have a look at night feeds as well. And could there be an element of reverse cycling where perhaps they are taking overall the right amount for a 24-hour period, but they're really relying on some overnight feeds? And that will definitely be case by case. But how can we create some more hunger, particularly at around 7 months, more hunger for during the day, and look at weaning some feeds overnight?
And that's something that, we are very good at, redistributing calories so that the nights, they're not heavily reliant on these night feeds to get through. So I think that one of the elements that, definitely looking at that, that's a really good point that you make. Reverse cycling.
All right. Number 4. I love this question. It comes up all the time. Should I wake my baby up at 7 a.m. every morning? I think one of the easiest ways to create some rhythm and routine to your day is to start waking your baby up at the same time every morning. You and I work to 7 a.m. People need different schedules. Some people want to do a 6 a.m. start. To an extent, time is a construct. But if we use 7 a.m., for example, here, I would say that no matter what your night looked like the night before, we put a line through it. There is a big reset button that happens at 7. We get a great milk feed in, we get breakfast solids in if that's applicable. We protect that first wake window of the day, and we protect the first nap of the day, particularly if we're trying to make active change. There's no tears. A baby sometimes doesn't like being woken up, but there's no cry-based sleep training technique. You are going to set your baby's little internal body clock, their circadian rhythm, to say, hey, this is when we start our day. You start building sleep pressure for your first nap now. But not only that, you actually start building sleep pressure for bedtime from the moment that they wake up in the morning. So yes, I would be I recommend, particularly when I'm working one-on-one and we're really micromanaging timings, no matter what the night looked like the night before, you're going to wake your baby up at the same time each morning.
Yep, I 100% agree. I feel like you've got a lot to achieve in a day. Like there are a lot of
Mm.
things that you've got to tick off your list. And if we start sort of shifting that gate a little bit later and so forth, just to accommodate a sort of bit of a rough night, then we start to sort of lose time in the day. We are chasing our tails. Now we're a little bit higgledy-piggledy with how much milk has gone in. We might have missed a nap. Now we're going into the second night a little bit
Or they're
like,
asleep when the
whoa.
feed's meant to happen.
Yeah, I love the idea that, we draw a line in the sand, like you said, Sally. So if we've had a rough night, it doesn't mean that it needs to continue. We just start fresh and we sort of get back on track with the 7 o'clock, start of the day. And the circadian rhythm is a super important factor in creating great sleep for your little one, both day and night. So really working on creating that wake time will help.
Yeah, and I actually remember seeing this question, and there was added nuance to it, which was baby woke at 5:30, finally got them back to sleep at 6:20. We're trying to work and sleep train out this early rise. Do I still wake my baby at the designated wake up time, even if they've gone back to sleep only at 6:20? And I think you and my answer is yes.
My answer is also yes, because again,
Great.
you are drawing the line in the sand, and it is now it's the daytime. We are cracking on. We're getting on the wagon again.
Yep. So blinds open, food, light, socialization, and you move right along. Speaking of moving right along, question number 5 is, and this will be the last question for this little sleep detective session. My 6-month-old wakes in the night, itching due to eczema, and doesn't settle again in his cot. He'll only sleep for the rest of the night in our bed. What can we do to keep him settled in his cot? I see this question, Beck, as 2 different questions in one, or 2 different problems in one.
Yeah.
The first one is eczema. So eczema is something that you and I would outsource that needs to be managed. If it needs to be managed medically, that needs to be addressed before we can really confidently go into the night, resettling, settling, and making sure that your baby is dressed appropriately so that they're not too warm, which can often exacerbate eczema. But I've got a big but in this particular answer. If your baby is then able to go back to sleep for the rest of the night, albeit in your bed, then for me, this is most likely not due to eczema, but more to do with, hey, I choose to go into my parents' bed versus the cot at whatever time of the night that is.
Yeah, it's a hard
Does
one
that sound too
because
harsh?
no, I'm trying to sort of find a way to answer this as well in terms of wanting it to make sense. Like it definitely, so the eczema sort of throws me a little because I definitely want that to be sorted out.
Absolutely.
It just makes the sleep detective in me wants to know how the day looked beforehand to make that assumption that it's the eczema that's causing the wake.
Definitely.
Because I would want to be sort of seeing where the naps lie, how long the wakeful period is before bed to then sort of go, okay, yeah, definitely it's not anything related to sleep pressure or feeds or anything like that, and then sort of cracking on with, okay,
that
so
process of elimination, isn't it? What
it
is
is the
actually
process of
causing
elimination.
this?
Yeah,
And then if
it's
you've
almost like you
also
need
had,
more info.
yeah, oh yeah, I mean always. But if we've then also had the process of elimination of eczema has been treated and dealt with and on top of, then we know that this is potentially more about a sleep habit that has crept in, maybe because originally there was itching that caused the wake up. Baby was then brought into bed and then the itching settled down, but we've got this residual habit left over. And maybe it is now that there is just a strong preference and sleep association that, hey, I'd really prefer to go into mum and dad's bed. So I would be having a look if everything is lined up, if the eczema is under control, then I would look at this more as, okay, how do we resettle this moment in the cot if that is where I would like my baby to sleep for the remainder of the night?
Yeah, that's definitely, we want to look at maybe introducing a little bit more sleep, like self-settling into the mix. And so using a sleep technique or whatnot. And then I'm just going to think out loud as well, because a lot, we touched just before on we don't want to overheat little ones when they've got eczema. And so this is a super common theme that comes through my inbox a lot, because, there is a lot of eczema and we definitely don't want to overheat and overbundle to make it worse. But the flip side of that is that very well-meaning GPs and so forth are then sort of offering examples of very cool options for little ones to sleep in.
And then are they waking because they're chilly?
Are they waking because, and that is very, very, very common. And then that's one that often will lead to they're waking and, they're a little bit cold, and then they only sleep in mum and dad's bed for the rest of the night because actually they're getting
the body
warmth that they need.
Yes. And I think another good way of helping to pin that down, if you think it might be that, is if this waking is happening at a certain stubborn time of the morning. So if it's somewhere between 2, 3, 4 a.m., that, okay, could this actually be due to temperature?
Exactly. So there's a few answers to that question, and probably it leaves more room for, hundreds of different questions.
Get the magnifying glass back. But this is what happens, Beck. We scratch the surface of these questions, and this is why we have detailed intake forms when we start working with a new family, because we want to know what brand of bottle are you using, what TOG rating of your sleeping bag, what is the room temperature, is it on a monitor, is it on the thermostat, is it on the grow egg, what kind of red light is on your sound machine. We have
lots of different questions. We're very finicky. We like to know exactly what's going on, because if we can understand what sleep looks like for you, so a typical day, a typical night, how you respond, all the things like the nuances that go into your little one's sleep, it means that we can pinpoint exactly what it is that is happening and then make a plan for specific change. So we're not flying blind. We would loathe the idea that someone would just sort of throw a technique or a suggestion out at you and without knowing all the ins and outs. We really work on making sure that we know exactly what's going on so that we can pinpoint, work on that challenge specifically, and then get you through the other side all hunky-dory with as minimal tears as possible. And sometimes, in some cases, not even any tears.
I always find myself
just a change.
On consultations using the royal we. I'm like, and then what we'll do is we're going to put in this TOG rating, or when baby wakes in at this hour, we are going to, I'm like, oh, I'm not there. Yes. But that's how that's I start
funny. I do that too.
Do you?
I've never actually thought
I wish
about
I was there at 3 a.m. I'm there in spirit. Like, I get so invested. It's as if I'm in the room.
Yes, like
shushing and patting.
Together we're going to, I know we're going to do this, but it's so true. Like we are actually part of the team. I think that's where that comes from. Like together we're going to make this plan.
And then we're going to take that data and then we're going to see what happens next. And like, we will get to the finish line together. We are your biggest cheerleaders and very focused on finding the root cause, as you could tell, of all of these sleep issues. And we have many suggestions up our sleeve. If that bottle doesn't work, we're going to try this one. If this volume or this timing doesn't work, we're going to try this one. There is no just one size fits all here.
Yeah, that no one trick pony methodology.
No, not here. So keep your questions coming. And the royal we... I think we're signing off now.
No, as always, it's really lovely to get the questions, and we do love looking over them, and we will answer all the burning questions that you need. So stick them on the Spotify, I guess, or on one of our channels.
Yeah, find us ask your question and we will get to it in our little sleep detective episode.
All right,
we will see you next time.
Catch you later.
Bye.